Hi everybody, this is Cindy over at paper.old.new. I am getting ready to show you guys what I got out of that. Remember that 1940s vinyl wallpaper book where all the pages were stuck together or had their paper stuck to them, or like that? I finally finished. It took me probably 2 weeks at least of soaking and rubbing and scrubbing and all of that to get wallpaper out of those books. But I got a really nice stack, and I thought I would show you what came out of it, and maybe as we go we'll try some experiments. Although flipping through this wallpaper has a tendency to take a long time, so I don't know how the experimenting part will go. This is a cover from one of the 1970s books. As you can see, I'm marking it in 6-inch increments. My husband is going to take some sort of a saw to this that will cut nice smooth lines, and I'm going to get bookboard out of it. 3. It looks like this one is so much bigger. Okay, I'm not going to take up time doing this. Anyway, I'm going to make bookboards out of those, and they're going to be about, both of them are about a little over 18 inches long. So I'm getting 3 6-inch wide. Those are going to be 6-inch by 12-inch, and the other ones are going to be 6-inch by 9-inch. So, like a traveler's size book, and then a decent sized journal. All right, chitty chatty, let's get started. So here it is, guys. This is the stack. These didn't have anything stuck to them. These are the fabric. They're like a fabric wall covering. And if you look at it, you can see, there you go. There's like, jacker, I don't remember what this is called. But it's like, if you look at it at the right angle, you can see a pattern in it. And the pattern is really cool. You can see it really good on this one. This kind of coppery, bronzy looking one. And then there's a green one. I love the way the edges have aged on some of these. Like the yellow one didn't look real aged around the edges, but this green one, you can see where the green is kind of faded and aged around the edges. And then there's a silver one with a big old line up the middle. I'm not really sure. I think it's a wrinkle in the fabric, but anyway. And this one, again, you can see the faded edges. But I thought these were really cool, and I can't wait to do something with them. I haven't got an idea right off the top of my head for those particular pieces, but they will definitely get used, probably as background for something. But okay, and then I did salvage some whole pieces of paper. This paper is, I don't think this is from the book. I don't know what that's from. This paper was peeled off of, after soaking them in water, I was able to peel some large pieces. And when I peeled them, some of them had little imprints on them. And while that's not a whole imprint, I thought it would be fun to tuck. I mean, this is old paper, guys. I mean, it's aged, it's old, it's kind of a different texture. But I thought the partial imprints would be fun to put on tags and journaling cards and collage and, stuff like that, mixed media projects. So I kept some of the more interesting pieces of paper. There's a ton of it here. I'm not going to flip through all of these. Like this one's got a crisscross pattern over the whole thing. But yeah, I just thought this old paper, and then it's just torn old aged paper, which I thought would be great to stick in, collages and clusters as pieces of background. I don't know that there's any, this one's got a neat texture to it because of some of the pages have a, that classic vinyl texture to them. They're not smooth. And then some of the pages have kind of a weave texture. I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of basket woven or burlap, fine burlap. And then there was this pattern. Not really sure what that pattern is, but so yeah, so I took some of the paper just because it was old. This is old with text on it. A bunch of the rest of the paper that came off as like pulp in big pieces that weren't usable for anything, I actually put in a bowl to make paper pulp out of. I thought I would try making some handmade paper, and I thought I would use some of the 19 because it's real soft. And then I was able to get these out of the book. These are borders, which I was not able to salvage from the book itself. So I got these little pieces of board. As you can see, they got wet. And then these are samples, but they're stuck on here. I can't get them off. And this is what they were stuck to. So they were stuck to this, and then this page stuck to this page. And when I peeled them apart, the vinyl stuck the samples to the back of this page. So I can't really get them off of there. I tried. They wouldn't come, and I wanted the page. Okay. So that was all the paper I salvaged. Now, up along the top, there were some, up along the top where it connected to the book, once I got it apart, I would get in between the sheets, and there were some strips where it looks like pages had been torn out of the book. So I guess whoever owned it before used some of it. So there were all these strips, and they're all aged. Look, that one's all, this is what happens when like the vinyl, so it's a cloth backing with vinyl coating. And when it didn't come up good, or when I was lightly scrubbing with a brush, the vinyl would peel away. You got these kind of pieces. These are the ones that I thought would be great in mixed media, grungy journal things, or art pieces, or, you know, collage, whatever. And then you've got all these strips. These strips were also what I used to test cleaners. So when I cleaned all the wallpaper, I needed some test sheets, and I used some of these strips as test sheets. You can see some of them even have pattern on them. This one's got paper stuck to it. I couldn't get the paper off. So you can see the wallpaper pattern over there to the edge, and then the paper, I couldn't get that off of there. So, and then there's, you know, so I got all these strips. Again, just like with the paper, the way the paper imprinted on the back, if it was stuck to a piece of wallpaper below it, sometimes the dies would leave a print on the fabric on the back. And I can show you that on some of the bigger sheets because it did that on quite a few of them. So let me get all these strips out of the way, and we will move on to the sheets of wallpaper, which is what I had. I won't say that I had a ton of fun going through the process because it was a pain, and some of them turned out really well and some of them not so much. So like this one, you can see this took a lot of scrubbing, and you can still see this is the paper that was stuck to the top, but I found design spots. So like this is a stack, cups, plates, utensils kind of on the wall there. And then back here, there's this pattern. I like the blue and yellow. The white that you see here is the vinyl. Okay. And then all of this sandy brown color is the paper that just would not come off. In some places it sticks really good, and in other places it doesn't. And then you can see here, these gray splotches are where the paper and the vinyl scrubbed off the fabric. So it starts to come through. But I thought that these would be great little pieces in a cooking journal or something like that if you're doing vintage cooking. So some of the pieces came out like this with lots of paper, or they came out like this where I got most of the paper off, but you can still see the sandy brown pieces are where I just no more scrubbing, or I was going to take the vinyl off. So like it just doesn't, it's almost like it's fused there, but it makes it look old. So I kind of don't mind it. But yeah, so these patterns ended up being really cool. Some of these are still damp. I need to like spread them out. But this one folded over on itself, and the vinyl adhered, and I cannot unfold that. Also, this was another one where it was starting to tear. I don't know if you can see that right there in the center. I was scrubbing this lightly and the vinyl was coming up underneath the paper, so I just stopped. I mean, once it starts doing that, I'm not going to be able to salvage that picture anyway. And I have plans. Oh, there's a print. See how it prints? And you can see dots where dots peeled off of, those polka dots peeled off of the pattern that had these flowers on it. And you can see some polka dots there. So it peeled. But I had a plan for, like, if I take the duck and use him somewhere, the rest of this fabric, I thought it would be fun to stamp on it and see what happens. Because, I mean, these stamps look really cool that came off of the wallpaper patterns. So I was going to try stamping on some of the fabric or even some of the wallpaper. I don't know if the vinyl will take stamps. So that's why I'm kind of leery about trying to stamp. But, so yeah, I got some really rough pieces that, you know, either that or when I was peeling them away, vinyl stuck to the back of the, because some of them were wallpaper stuck to wallpaper. Like this one, I got almost nothing but fabric. You see, that's just the fabric. There's like no vinyl left on there. And maybe a little coating from the backing, but that's about it. So yeah, there's no design left on that one, as you can see. I mean, I'm not telling you anything you can't see. This one came out pretty good. And then I got some that were pretty good. These are aged. It's supposed to look like tiles. I got stripes. Here's another one where I couldn't get all the paper off, but I got the gulls and they look aged and old. There's a cloud down here if I wanted to use that as a background for something. So yeah, I was actually thinking about plugging in my heat gun and kind of trying to dry the dampness out of some of these because they soaked for so long that they're just, this one's just wood pattern. One of the wood pattern ones I was able to get and the other one ended up being a mess. These are very faded, but can you see the houses? I thought they were really cute. There's a little one down here and then this big one and then this one's cut off. But there were several different motifs and you got some. So we got this one. Very simple. It'll be good to use as background. Here's the other wood one I was talking about. Some of the ones toward the front of the book were a lot worse than as you moved back into the book. Like I don't have these stacked in order, but some of these ones that are really bad like this, and this just looks grungy to me, so, or I can use it as a stamp sheet. So either way. This one, you'll never guess what I did. So I was stacking the sheets. I had this one totally clean. And then I laid some of that paper I was salvaging down to dry and it overlapped and it restuck. So I restuck it and then this was as far as I could get because it started tearing the vinyl. So that's what that strip, I did that. That strip of paper, I did that. But I still got the flowers and they're very, very faded. This one, yeah, I got nothing. There's a faint impression of what looks like vases or something there, but yeah, this, I got nothing. This is that textured vinyl. Can you see the texture? I don't know if you can see the texture down there. This is very jungle looking or old. I don't know. There's a cabin and I don't know what the rest of it's supposed to be. I can't really tell because, I mean, the print, a lot of times the paper would stick really good to the print. So I just couldn't get any more off of that one. This is, again, something I was figuring background usage. It's very grungy. Look, it's even torn. There's nothing on the back, so if I want to stamp on it, I can. These are supposed to be kind of marbly. So I got this black one. You can see here, this is a patch of vinyl that peeled off of another sheet. So, give you an idea. Here's one that I didn't get any of the front pattern, but the pattern it was sitting on printed to the back. So this one I kind of kept for the fabric print, which I thought was really cool. This is a very faded floral pattern. I don't know if you're going to be able to see on camera any detail, but that is a very faded floral pattern and very aged and grungy. This is the same floral pattern in a lighter color. Maybe you can see the flowers a little easier on that one. I don't know. Then this is more of that marbling. There's a couple of different ones of this. There's the black, and then there's this kind of pale tan. I don't know if this was its original color. As you can see, it tore. I had some where, like the duck that folded up, some other ones were folded with that, and their corners just tore off. So I have that. I like the gray and yellow stripe. I like gray and yellow together. That's one of my... here's the blue marble. This marble came off on the back of another. This one peeled off on the back of the one that was stuck on top of it. This one's green and yellow marble with the black marbling printed on the back. So, yeah. I really like the fabric imprints. I think they're neat. This one, I've said it before. Oh, here's the one, that one where I had vases. It all was stuck to this. I don't know. I'll say, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Sometimes these wallpaper manufacturers don't do themselves any favor. There's no, I mean, it's a big blank space with cut off pieces of your pattern on the edges. Those are weird to me. I thought this one was really neat with the little repeating emblems. And again, you can see this is torn. It feels coated though. So it's like coated fabric. The back is plain and then this is coated, and it looks like this got some imprints on part of it. Oh, from this, actually. I think it was that table. This one, it looks like the red dye. The red dye was the one that the cleaners would take some of it off. And the black dyes tended to scrub off with the brush when you were lightly scrubbing. So the black tended to scrub off, and the red tended to mix with the cleaner. But it also seems to have faded through the vinyl and made prints on the fabric. That's not on the other side. It's just... So like if I got the vinyl off of here, I'm assuming the legs from that table would be on the cloth, which I thought was kind of interesting. I mean, it's not a recognizable shape, but... Okay, so here we have more of those tiles. These are those marble, those sheets of marble, except tile print. Can you hear them sticking? They're trying to stick to each other again. Here's more of the... They called some of them glazes, so like printed glazes. I don't know if that's what that is. This one, okay, so you hardly get anything from the pattern on this one. You got one and it peeled, but look at that. I really like this. I think that would make a cool tag or something. The print on the fabric. So, again, this one's very grungy and old. Some of these, like I said, are going to be used as either background, or I'm going to flip them over and stamp on the fabric and use it. So maybe I'll gesso some of it, the fabric side, and use it that way, and then stamp on it, or, you know, whatever. There's this one. I actually like this pattern. It's faded. It's got little holes in it where it peeled away, but I like it. This does not have any print on the back. Some of them did this. I don't know what that... Maybe it's a glue or a paste that they used. Okay. We're praying as we go through this stack that none of them stuck together. I don't have a lot of space to just spread this stuff out. I mean, there's tons of pages. That tile pattern. Here's another one of the glazes. Blue and yellow. I like the blue and yellow. As I'm going through, if I try and use my heat gun to kind of dry these out a little bit, I may like put stuff together that coordinates color-wise. There's a little lighthouse, part of it peeled away. I want to say the lighthouse is on the back of something. Here's another little lighthouse, different color. Yeah, right there. There's the green lighthouse on the back of there, and I think he's on the back of a blank spot. He might interfere with... Oh no, he's on the back of a blank spot if I wanted to get him. Cut the bird out and cut the lighthouse out of the back. And we have this just kind of woven pattern. I like these. It's kind of it's cut off at the top, the flower is, but I could get that flower. And you can see it's kind of grungy where the paper, all of that sand colored spots on these are where paper stuck and I just couldn't scrub it off. Although this, I don't know about the center of those. I don't know what the color those are supposed to be. Okay, so then we have stripes, like a pinstripe almost. Well, kind of. The sailboats. I was trying to salvage some boats, guys. I mean, I really was. It was hard because a lot of the sailboat ones, look, you can see this sailboat through and the lighthouse printed on the back from another sheet. That's kind of cool. And then this seagull up here. This is one of the polka dot sheets, and as you can see, or I don't actually know what this is. This might have just been a blank sheet because those polka dots don't go there. Oh, I know what happened. This was one where I set it down and I set one of the ones that had polka dots on the back from this sheet on this one, and they peeled off of the back of the other one onto this one. So like secondary transfer. Which is kind of funny. All right, so here's the polka dots. So I got the gray with the blue and yellow, which is cute. And then I got the black with the gray and brown. I like the polka dots just on their own as like a background. And I don't think that anything discernible was printed on the back of these. So more than likely the polka dots will, although that one got polka dots printed on it. That's kind of cool. But they are big enough that I can kind of play. I can get some from the front, some from the back. This has nothing printed on the back, so it's a free open canvas. And then I have this flower at the front. I like it. I love this one. And I think I have 2 colors of it. That reminds me of old Victorian wallpaper. So, yeah. Hold on just a second, guys. Sorry about that. My daughter called. Okay. Here's another polka dot pattern. I didn't know there was another one with a red and black flower. Silver polka dots. This looks like the one that the polka dots peeled off of. You can see there, the gray is missing and you can see the fabric. I love the fruit bowl. I don't know why. I don't know. I just really like that fruit bowl. And look, here's a little flower pot. So I got some whole images on this one. So, yeah. You know, maybe a journaling card or the front of a little postcard or something like that. I can make that into. And add some stuff on top of it. It doesn't have to stay just the wallpaper. So that'll be fun. Trying to get through these so this isn't like an hour long. These are still damp. So I am going to have to like take a heat gun to them. And you should, the smell, guys, is like really, I don't know, old vinyl. I guess this is what old vinyl smells like. I like that. It's very subtle. It would be good to cut a card out of and then use as a background for like a collaged card. This is another one of those where I was trying really hard. This was kind of my learning page, I think, because I was trying really, really hard to get the paper off of this, and I would keep soaking, and then I would scrub some more, and then I would soak, and then I would scrub some more. I did that with a lot of them. But this one is where I first realized that if I scrub too much, the vinyl comes off with the paper. So there's a lot of spots here where I lost little bits of vinyl. And that's when I realized you can only go so far before taking off the paper means taking off vinyl. So I would have to quit. When I got to the point on any of them that they started peeling the vinyl, I would kind of back off and maybe have to stop. I love this one, and I think it's the only one I have. You know how I always hear about people having certain things that they have in their stash that they hoard, that they don't use. And then eventually they say, oh, I got to use it. This is one of those things. Guys, I have 1 sheet of this pattern. And I don't know why. I just love the berries. This is also an example where the red faded with the cleaner and the black scrubbed off a little bit with the brush. I don't know why that was that way. As you can see on this one, you can see there's still paper at the top. That's 2 pieces. There's still paper at the top, and there's some down here along the edge. This is how long the pages were. So you see that line? So on some of them, I would get this, and that's where another piece stuck to it. So like there's paper there. I really liked this little cottage, and I don't mind that it's grungy like this. The only thing that's kind of funny is if you look real close, this is a lady with 2 buckets and her dog, and her head got scrubbed off with the vinyl. So it's a headless lady with 2 buckets and her dog. So yeah, I don't, maybe if I use this as the background of a tag, I'll cover her up just because she doesn't have a head. I like the leaves. This is fabric on that brown leaf, but I got some leaves up there. I thought this would make a good corner for something. And then I've got all this to work with. This is imprinted on the back a little bit. Very faint, but there. I'm looking forward to finding things to do with this stuff, guys. If any of you have any suggestions or thoughts, creative ideas, it's a show and tell video, so you can, you know, share with me as well. And then maybe if I see some ideas, I can take a couple pieces and come on and show you how I interpret your idea and do it on camera. And you can see how it turns out. Here's another one of the fruit bowls. More paper stuck to this one, so parts of it are silvery and parts of it are not. I like this one. This again is one of those ones where they kind of cut the sample piece. You can see this has got the blue glaze on it. I think this again was secondary transfer, where it peeled off of that blue glaze page that you saw with the big gap in the middle onto the back of something else, and then that stuck to this. This little emblem, I think it's kind of cute, but like it's cut off here. It's cut off here I know that because the circles are only, because you can see the bottom here. So I don't really know why they do that. Here's this pattern, which I do like this pattern, although cut off here and cut off here. So I suppose I could combine the two and make a whole pattern. I don't know. Again, no whole patterns, no imprints. So this one is kind of a blank canvas. It's got some transfer dots and a little bit of flower. I like this one. This again is like a grungy flower pattern. This will definitely make a good background for something. I think that if I cut that whole piece like that and backed it on cardstock, it would make a good journaling card or a postcard or something like that. One of those old vintage looking postcards maybe. This is a very simple pattern. As you can see, I like the tiny polka dots. Little fruit bowl or something. And these little chickens. I'm not really sure. They look like toy chickens, which I thought was funny because I think they showed this in a kitchen or a bathroom. Might have been a bathroom. So you have these little bowls and these little chickens. The patterns are very interesting to me. Some of them are really cool scenery, and then some of them are odd. Here we got some ducks. I like this little duck down here. He's very faded, but he's whole. This sheet is one of my good sheets. Came out pretty good. I like this windmill. And these little flowers and things. This was a cute one. I got most of this one. Again, I really like all of these patterns. I look at them and I think, well, I can do something with it. This one was all red, so you can see how this faded. This faded in with the cleaner. So it was partially faded as it was, and then it faded some more with the cleaner. So this one looks really aged, like it's been on a wall in the sun for years and years, and the sun faded the wallpaper. So yeah, I like that one. I think this is, at the very beginning, you know, that blue and yellow kitchen motif. I think this is its counterpart in black and red. I got more of this one, obviously. The paper stuck. In this one, you can see where the paper, it peeled off of all this blank area really easy, and then it stuck to the pattern. So I got that one. This was one I was trying to salvage sailboats, guys. This is like a fishing village. So there's guys with a fishing net and these barrels and a couple of ships up there and the guys working. And here's some ships in the background. And then there's these guys out on a boat. This has actually is a little island with a little lighthouse on it, but you can't see it really well anymore. It's very faded. I don't know if these guys look like they're on like a catamaran or something. I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of a flat boat but there's not enough of it for me to tell. So I don't know. And then there's the top of a buoy down here, but the rest of it is just sky or water or whatever they start. No, sky, because it's clouds. And then the pattern repeats. Here again, this one's kind of the gray and yellows. I like that. That would go kind of cool with those stripes. Assuming I'm going to layer. Here's another one, but I only got the sails. So, yeah. This one cleaned off really nicely. A lot of these repeating pattern pages did. The ones that were just like stripes. So, yeah, that cleaned off really nice. And we got this one that's trees. I think these are the same, but different colors, and different areas of the pattern. So green and brown and brown and brown. Here's this pattern again in a different color. Some surfaces stick more than others. I am really looking forward to cutting this stuff up and using it, guys. There's a piece of me that wants to hoard it, but there's a piece of me that wants to start making stuff out of it. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah. That's kind of blank. I mean, I've got a spot at the top. Oh, you know what I haven't been checking? Nope, no print. See if any of them had any cool print on them. No, it looks like most of them just... Some of them you really want to be printed on the back just because there was like nothing on the front. Okay, so this is that bows again. And here's a floral pattern that I got mostly the weave and just a little bit of flowers. So, yeah. Oh, here's the kitchen thing again. In blue and silver. This one cleaned really nicely. So I got whole, almost whole. Here's here's the one that peeled really bad. The emblems from, the repeating emblems from that, it was black and yellow, I think. Here's blue and silver. I like these, or this, the polka dots and then this vase. So, yeah. That's a good one. And like I said, the polka dots can be used as background even if there's nothing on it. So these are acorns and oak leaves. And then it's printed with the blue and silver emblems on the back. And then you can see the acorns. Apparently the acorns had red in them. Because the red is usually what goes all the way through. I don't know what they used to use for red dye, guys, but man, it's some interesting stuff. I like this one. This one has the woven pattern. I actually got a bunch of flowers on this one, so that's good. And this could go on the edge of something. So, yeah. Here's just a woven pattern. I would say these were supposed to be different colors, but I don't know if it's the age that has made them very similar. But there's 3 of them, and you can see on camera they get a little darker. So I got a light one, a medium one, and then a dark one. And they'll make good background. I don't think anything is printed on the back of any of these because I think they were stacked on top of each other. So yeah. And then here again, we got some blank. There's a bunch of these in here. So there's this kind of peachy taupe color. Here's the ducks again. There's my little duck in a different color. There's more of these blank ones. As you can see, there was no rhyme or reason to how I stacked these. I just took them off the table. As they got clean, they got stacked after they dried, mostly. I like this pattern. with the little bunch with the bow. Blue one I got almost a whole one. So yeah. Oh, here's the solid colored ones again. So we had, let's compare a little bit. Where are we? Well, probably should hurry up. So only slightly different. And then there's this one that's kind of darker. I'm not gonna lie, guys, that looks like skin. It's kind of creepy Halloween horror journal. This kind of off green color, maybe that's because of age. This one looks yellow. Again, this one looks like skin. I suppose I have a couple of colors that look like, these are very flesh tony. It's kind of disturbing. Yeah, there's a bunch of them. So whatever I figure out to do with these, and I might, you know, try a couple of different things. You know, I'll try painting on them. I'll try stamping on them. I'll try putting stitches in them and making them look like wounds for Halloween. I don't know. Okay, and then here we have stripes. Like I had to tell you that. And then we have this. It looks like I got more of the tiny dots. This looks like, okay, so the whole emblem happens to have the holes from the staples through it. So, yeah. But I like the kind of faded polka dots. Okay, and then this one is the same. This one is black and red and black and silver. Oops, upside down. That's good. And they have, oh, this one's got the black and red printed on the back of it. So I've got black and silver with black and red on the back. I don't know how that's going to work because I think it's right on the back of this one. So if I want the black and silver one, I can't have the imprint. Here's one of those kind of lotus pineapple-y looking things. Whole. More stripes. I need to organize them by pattern, I guess, and see what I've got. Because I know I've got more than one of that pattern, and here's another one of this pattern. Oh, here's the other Victorian wallpaper thing. I had it in blue, and now I've got it in this kind of mauve color. So I really like this one. This is another one of those ones I'm going to hoard. I only have 2 of. We have this one. And then here's some more of this. This has got a lot of stamps. So this has got the, this was up against the black and yellow emblems. And this is the vinyl that peeled off the black and yellow emblem page. And then here's some of the black and yellow emblems imprinted on this fabric. So that's kind of cool. Especially for this blank area, because this blank area here has emblems on the back. So that'll be fun. And then, of course, here's the pattern in blue and yellow. I'm really glad. The blue and yellow is one of my favorites. So I really like the fact that I got a whole one in this color. I have a whole one in this color off to the side here where you can't see it, but you already saw it, so I won't drag it over. We're getting up there in time. I don't have a lot left, but I don't want to go too long. Here is this one. I don't know what that looks like to me, but it reminds me of like when silt settles on something or something like that. And then you shake it and it makes the water cloudy. Oh, maybe it's just me spending too much time with paper. There's this one again. So I think that's the third one I've seen of that. And here's another one of these. This was the one that was in blue that I accidentally got more paper stuck on. I like this little garden field, and I think this is the only one I have of this. So that's really cute. And it looks like the other version of it had red in it because it printed on the back. So it's a shame that I missed it. Oh, also a blue and yellow one, it looks like. So I got the black and silver. The blue and yellow one would have been really cute. But it's got an imprint of the blue and yellow on the back of this one. Oh, in the blank spot. So I might be able to get that blue and yellow printed on the fabric. That's kind of cool. And then there's these oh no, there's the blue and yellow one. This has got the black and silver printed on the back of it. And it's just this kind of starburst motif on the front. So If I had to choose, I really like the garden on the fabric. But, I mean, I can get both. There's plenty of stuff there. Here is the blue and yellow one that I didn't think I got. And here's more of the glaze pattern. This one feels like it still has a strip attached to it. It does. I don't know if I can... Here we go. See, they peel like this. That one peeled pretty good. It's another strip. This one's got those lilies imprinted on the back of it. The ones that I had in black and silver and black and red. This is just weave. So pale yellow and kind of a straw brown. And then here's another one of this. And another one. Oh, I like that one. Another one of that. So that's what I got out of the 40's wallpaper, guys. I thought maybe since I still have you and we've got a few minutes, we would look at, I'm going to take one of these tile pieces that is okay and one of these pieces that's fabric. And we're going to try stamp. What do you think? I'm going to use gel ink and archival ink just to see if any of them work better than any others. Let's just use the stamp I have handy. What is this up here? Yeah, we'll use this. I have a leaf. So let's try and put a leaf on. I have this one because I'm going to try and stamp on the front just to see if it smears or anything. So we're going to stamp it with the archival ink. And then we're going to stamp on the fabric. Look at that. That is really cool. Of course, I got it on the edges, but still. I'm still learning pressure on stamps. I was not a stamper. So, yeah. But that's really neat. And it doesn't smear. I guess you have to give it time to dry. I'm a little impatient. Secondary transfer stamp. Maybe not push as hard this time. Yeah, just the leaf, no frame. So there you go, guys. I can stamp on these sides that are uncoated. What if I flip it over? Let's stamp on here. That looks really cool. I like that. Okay, so on the uncoated side, and then on this side where all the vinyl peeled up and you've just been left with this kind of, it feels like coated canvas. You guys ever felt that like waxed canvas, or they used to call it duck fabric, where it had some like something imprint in it so that it made it waterproof? That's what it feels like. And that's stamping on that. Let's see if you can stamp on the vinyl itself. See what happens. So we'll get some ink and we'll stamp right here. Well, it's stamped. That's kind of cool. And it doesn't seem to smear. So, yeah, I can stamp on the fronts. This is really cool. And it comes out really crisp. I mean, that came out really nice. So, there we go, guys. This was a look at the 1940s wallpaper book that I finally got. The pages, as much of the pages separated as I could. I'm pretty sure this is every page that was in the book in one form or another, whether it be completely devoid of any pattern at all, or, you know, like in really good shape. This is what I got. So I can't wait to make things out of this stuff. I look forward to, if you guys watch this and you leave me some suggestions, and I go through and I find some really cool ones, I'll give them a try off camera, and then I'll come on camera and show you what I made and the process I went through to get it based on what you suggested. So if, you know, if anybody leaves me something, then we'll give that a shot. As a side note, the big, huge wallpaper book, this from the 70s that you saw me marking the cover of earlier, I finally got all their pages separated from their staples, and I have full complete pages of those to work with. Those are not fabric backed. Those are paper backed, and they tear just like paper, and they are vinyl coated, and you know, so I have a ton of those now. And you saw them. If you wanted to go check out some of them in the previous wallpaper update, you can also leave suggestions here about what you think I could do with some of those. You can also, if you would like to see the rest of the patterns out of that book again, because I did a flip through of those books when I got them, but if you want to see the pages separated from the book, I can do that too if you'd like. So just leave me comments and let me know what you want to do. And I will see you guys in the next one, guys. This has been a ton of fun. Bye-bye.